had a dream, a really long dream. And I went into the dream twice. And in the dream, I knew I was in another dimension. And I did what I normally do, just going around the other dimension, looking around at the people before I start ministering to them. And in this dimension, they worshipped men that smoked, like like regular cigarettes, but I don't know what brands they were. But any man that smoked, they viewed them like a god. Like even the animals like to come up to, well, not come up to, but I was shown these animals. They was in water. Their animals was different than the animals on this earth. Now, this is the first time I was shown that. That was interesting. But they had different types of animals in water. Like, some was totally submerged and some wasn't. And it wasn't like fish. It was, one of them looked like almost like a monkey, but not exactly like a monkey. It had really big eyes. And it almost looked like a monkey. And it was black fur. But it was all kind of animals. And they like to be in water. Some of them like to keep their head out of water. And it was a whole bunch of different animals in this water. It was at the zoo. It was a type of zoo, but it wasn't like a regular zoo. Like, how can I explain? It was part of a building. You know how you go to, like, in Vegas, they have these exhibits of animals that are, and I haven't been to Vegas, by the way, in, oh my goodness, about 15 years. But you go in a building and they all have like part of a zoo, like, or even some malls have it, would have like display different animals. And that's what it was like. And they was displaying these different animals in some building. And these animals had a higher level of intelligence that they had been taught by humans to worship men that smoke. So they was coming up to, they, like, if I, as a female, I came to the glass to talk to them, and they didn't want to have anything to do with me because I wasn't smoking. They were just looking at me and just, just looking all regular. But then if a guy came up and he smoked, they would go up to him and everything like that. And they really worship any man that smoked. Like, anytime a man smoked, they really worshipped him and thought of him like a god, and just gave him special treatment. Like, it was special props for, special treatment for any man that smoked. And smoking in this dimension had the same effects that it does here. It caused cancer. I was literally shown that it caused emphysema. And that's not a word that I usually say, so that was quite shocking. But the dream said emphysema, and I was shown like this man had a breathing tube and like breathing things in his nose and everything like that. And because it caused problems. And when a man couldn't smoke anymore, they lost that God status. Like, they wasn't worshipped like the other men. So they really encouraged men to smoke, even though it was making them sick and killing them. And so then finally I got to the point in the dream where I would start ministering. And I was ministering to ladies. Like, I was telling them, stop worshiping these men that smoke. And they was laughing at me. They thought I was crazy. And in this dimension I saw, and I was really trying to minister to her. And in the dream, this was a long dream. Like, I was literally like walking around looking at their clothes and everything. And in this dream, I knew not to get distracted. I said, well, let me not linger on looking at something. I got to look and keep walking, keep going. Because when I stare at something, that's when the dreams start ending. I've learned that, not to be staring, just to hurry up and look and keep walking. And I was seeing like how they live, and they put a lot of emphasis on their looks. Some people did. They valued their looks and being thin and dressing nice and things like that. But house had clothes all over the place. She had a whole bunch of clothes, and she just had like clothes all on the bed, all on the floor, all over everywhere. And she had a lot of name brand clothes. Like, I knew they was name brand, whatever that means in this dimension. They wasn't cheap clothes. And she just had a ton of clothes. And I was telling her and other ladies that they need to stop. And some people's house was real clean, but not hers. But anyway, I was telling them they need to stop worshiping these men that smoke, and that was idol worship. They was doing idol worship, and they need to worship God. And I was shown in this dimension how they wasn't thinking about God, and they had the same God that we do in this dimension, and they just wasn't thinking about Him. They was worshiping man, just worshiping any man that smoke. Worshiping as the smoke would leave their mouth, and it was just crazy. And in the dream, I mean, in this dimension, the women didn't smoke, which is interesting because here, women smoke as well. But it was something that only men did, and these men was worshipped like gods. And I was saying, look, you need to stop. That's idol worship. You need to worship God. You need to. In this dream, I said God. In other dimensions, I've said Jesus Christ and stuff like that. But in this one, I was saying God. And I said, you need to worship God. Stop worshiping man. It's nothing special about a man just because he smokes. And they was like laughing at me like they wasn't listening to nothing I said. They just thought I was crazy. And then as I'm ministering to them, I was looking around still because I'm in another dimension and I'm just curious about everything. And I started staring at something too long and I said, oh, no, no, no. And I felt the dream ending. And then in the spirit, I woke up. Now, physically, I was still asleep, but my spirit had woke up. And I wanted to go back in the dream. And I was like, oh, man, I want to go back in the dream. And I didn't know if God was going to let me, but He did. And I was shocked. He let me go back in the dream. So I'm back in the dream again, and I went up to my house or whatever. In the dream, she was living like what we would call an apartment, but it was very glamorous looking. Like, how can I explain? She had these the door to her apartment was a really big door, and it was whitish and just something you would think at like a really high-end hotel. And it was just... it's hard to explain. It was just a glamorous looking, like all the doors was like crown molding around the doors, and just a lot of intricate details around the building, and very expensive carpet. And it was like a mall in the building. It was a shopping area in her building, like a mall. And I think she had a lot of money because, like I said, she had high-end clothes. And so anyway, I went, and I didn't see any poor areas, but I don't know if they probably had them. I just didn't see them. Anyway, I went to knock on her door. I knew it was her door. And she let me in, and that's when I was looking at her room in the dream. I don't know if I saw it in the first scene. I saw it in this scene. And I was seeing how it was. She had all these clothes everywhere, and it was expensive clothes. I didn't know none of that. And I was ministering to her again, trying to get her to listen to me. Like, look, you cannot worship man. This is wrong. Like, you can't be worshiping man that smoke. And trying to explain it to her, and she just wasn't getting it. She just wasn't listening. And so this went on for a little bit, and me trying to minister to her, and then the dream ended.
Hey, God bless everyone. So I had to add this disclaimer because when I record these type of dreams, I don't record them to release them. So I don't usually explain things, and I want to make sure I explain everything. In terms of other dimensions, I did make a video discussing why I'm doing this. I don't know if everybody saw that video. I will put it as a link at the end of this video. And I wanted to explain because somebody asked me, is other dimensions in the Bible? And I asked God that too. I want you all to understand something. Every single time God releases some earth-shattering information to me, it's very hard on me. It's probably harder on me than it is for any of you all. And, I'm a Berean, so I want to study everything. I want to make sure that it's in the Bible. I want to, really go over it. And even when I find it, it's really hard for me. And a lot of times I pray, and you guys just don't know. I live in a state of perpetual fasting. You have no idea. And I'm not a skinny woman by any means, but because, I'm not even going to go into metabolism and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not skinny, but I do fast a lot over these matters and just seeking the Lord for understanding. And so one of the things that God led me to do is to look up the word worlds in the Bible. And it was a scripture that I posted in the beginning of this video. And one is in Hebrews 1 and 2. And it says, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he had appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds plural. So I looked up the definition of the word the word worlds, and that encompasses everything, the whole earth, the land, the air, the sky. It's everything in the globe of the earth, but it's worlds plural, so it's telling you that it's more than one. So I said, well, why didn't anybody else catch on this? Why don't I hear anybody else saying, why is the word worlds in the Bible? And I found out that some of the scholars say that word means ages. They think it means ages instead of worlds, which is completely two different things. Ages is a time term, okay? Worlds, we know, is a noun. It's not a unit of time. So then it is again in Hebrews 11 and 3. It says, through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. So I found that out. And then also in the other video that I did, I talked about the CERN connection and why this company is spending billions of dollars to get this antimatter that they say is in another dimension. It's literally in another dimension to get it. And they are investing so much money and time to get this antimatter. And what they're going to end up doing is pulling things out of hell. I've asked the Lord if he wants me to address that. He has not answered me on that specifically. But I think other people have done a really great job. Like Truth Shock Video, I talked about them in my other video that I did. So, like I said, I'll put a link to that, and then I have a link to Truth Shock Video's video that I want you all to see. But yes, this is very earth-shattering. So anyone having a hard time understanding this, trust me, I understand. And that's why I've been really patient in the comment section with people that are struggling, because this is something that I know I struggle with. Like, what? I mean, it's like the Twilight Zone when I found these things out, A lot of times it sounds like I'm not shocked when you hear me saying these things, but trust me, believe me, when I first found them out, I'm very much shocked. Especially when I started learning things about, well, I'm not even going to go there, but just things in general. I'm only going to deal with one thing at a time. But anyway, in this dream, what I was shown is definitely, it was a world of vanity. And that's what I'm seeing in a lot of dimensions. God is showing me how vain the people are. They are all consumed with their appearance and, hair and nails and clothes and, things like that. It's not that God did not create things for us to enjoy, but in excess, it is definitely a sin. But in this world, I was definitely shown the dangers of smoking. So anyone saying, oh, God doesn't care about smoking, I was specifically pointed that out by God, how dangerous this smoking is. And emphysema, like I said, is not a word that I would ever use. I don't know anyone with emphysema. I actually had to look it up after this dream because I'm not even familiar with it. And I saw that people had breathing tubes. So I was quite shocked by all of this stuff God was showing me. So, God is showing us these things for a reason. He's waking us up so we can know that these things going on are real. He doesn't want us to turn a blind eye, and that's what a lot of Christians are doing right now. They're just saying, if it's real or not, I just don't want to deal with it. It's too much. I can't deal with it. But I ask you to please prayerfully go to the Lord and ask him, how you should process this information. but I know it can be overwhelming, and I am praying for all of us. But if anything, take away the lessons that was learned in this dimension. God bless you all. I love you so much. Bye.